Hi, Rebecca, welcome. Can you start by telling us about your career path? What first drew you to the energy sector?
Oh, well, thank you, Chiara, and thank you for inviting me today. I studied political science and economics. I did a little bit of work in the private sector, but then understood that I was most interested in policy, particularly international policy. So I took an exam and I joined the State Department as a diplomat. And I worked as a diplomat for about 10 years. But as an economist, I was always particularly interested in different sectors of the economy. And I didn't choose energy. I guess I could say it kind of chose me. I worked for someone as a diplomat who was then named energy secretary and who asked me to go with him to the energy department. And I thought that this offered a great opportunity to learn about a sector more specifically. And he was also someone who was very animated, and I thought I would learn a lot. And I did. And I was at the energy department, I'm from the United States, for 2.5 years, and I recognized how interesting the energy sector is. It spans not only across the economic, but the social, the environmental, and the political. And after that, even though I loved being a diplomat, I thought, well, I think I'd like to continue in the energy sector. And I had the opportunity to be interviewed for a job at the International Energy Agency. That was about 20 years ago, and I have stayed there since in a number of different roles. But the sector, to me, keeps getting more interesting. There are a lot of challenges that we face, but a lot of opportunities too.
Thank you. You said 20 years at the International Energy Agency. So how has your role there evolved over the years in terms of promoting diversity and inclusion, for instance?
Well, I started out, I think, like many young women, and we were about, there were as many, in the junior levels, there are always a lot of women. And then little by little, one day I looked around the room and I thought, wow, there are fewer of us. And this was not, the IEA actually has a good gender balance, but in many of the meetings I attended, and in many, in government, in industry, and fundamentally our research shows that the energy sector has about 20% women in the workforce. And this is compared to a global average across the economy of around 40%. And why is that? Because it's such an important sector. And so with a few of my colleagues, we started, thinking about how we could encourage we need all top talent in the energy sector given, the challenges we face. And so what can we do to, increase visibility and, make not only women, but, people from different cultures, different backgrounds, people from marginalized communities interested in energy because, we need solutions. And so we created a task force internally. Then our governing board has given us a strong mandate. We have a gender advisory council, and now we have very clear reporting in terms of not only how our organization is doing in terms of bringing in women, but also how our member countries are doing, and looking at different policies to see as we look at trying to develop policies to achieve energy security and energy transitions, how women are affected and how we can bring them in more productively to achieve our policy goals.
Great. So you already answered my third question, but if you want to go more in detail, what are the specific initiatives or milestones from the International Energy Agency that you would like to highlight to us?
Well, one I'd really like to highlight is we are known, all of our analysis is based on data. And a few years ago, we created a gender and energy data Explorer, where we look at, where are women working in the energy sector? And we look at 5 different areas. We look at total workforce, we look at senior management, we look at innovation, entrepreneurship, and now we're starting to look at skills because, as the energy sector is growing, as I said, in terms of employment very quickly. And so we need good people. Where are they? Where are the opportunities? Where are the gaps? And how can we sort of measure progress in terms of bringing in people to take on jobs that are interesting but also incredibly important?
And among all your activities in your role at IEA, you've also started a partnership with the Lights on Women initiative. So how do you think a platform like the Lights on Women initiative can help and make a real difference out there?
I think it plays an incredibly, we can all learn from each other. One of the things we find is that as we look for policy solutions, many times they're quite local. Countries, regions face different challenges. There are also similarities. And so the more we can learn from each other and work together, and Lights on Women has been active for a number of years. It's very important to raise visibility, to provide role models, to also call attention to achievements, and for me, there weren't a lot of role models during my career who were women. Men helped me enormously, and I'm very grateful for that. But I feel like if we can show that, yes, this could be you in 20 years, that makes it plausible and encourages people to participate.
So talking about role models, what piece of advice you will give to young women aspiring to have a leadership role in our sector?
You can do it, really quite simply. This is a sector that is evolving over time. There's enormous opportunity. For me, I needed to work on something that I believed in, that actually would bring an improvement to bring prosperity, to bring, energy can be transformative. We all depend upon it in our daily lives. We have huge issues, for example, in sub-Saharan Africa, where you still have 600 million people who don't have access to electricity. You can't function in a modern economy without access. And we need affordable, reliable energy supplies. That's critical. And so this is a field where you can make change. It's global, and as I said, it stretches across. There are so many different elements. It's never boring.
Thank you very much. And now to conclude, let's look at the future. How do you see the energy landscape in 5-10 years from now, especially regarding gender diversity?
Well, I'm an optimist. I hope to see that in, I would say, 5-10 years, we have many more. We have a much broader range of people involved in policymaking, in research, in industry, working in the sector, whether it's women, as I said, whether it's people from marginalized communities, and I hope that we accelerate in achieving some of the goals that many governments have set in terms of moving forward on the transition.
Thank you very much, Rebecca.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Chiara.